Hey guys, I'm Simon and welcome back to the Aether Hub for more Magic the Gathering lore. We're continuing our story about the history of Dominaria, but before we continue, let's quickly go over what happened in our previous video. Last time we talked about how the Elder Dragons ruled Dominaria and waged war amongst themselves for unknown reasons. The victors of that war were 5 Elder Dragons, among which was Nicol, who had ascended to the level of Planeswalker. Some unknown time later, the Thran, an empire made out of artificers who had used power stones, sources of incredible energy to fuel their advanced artifacts, was founded. The people of that empire had suffered from a disease caused by the radiation from their power stones. The cause of this disease was discovered by a brilliant doctor named Yawgmoth. But the political elites didn't want the people of the empire to shun the use of power stones, the sole reason for their technological advancements. So, Yawgmoth was exiled, and during his exile, he discovered the plane of Phyrexia. The empire later fell into a civil war, with Yawgmoth and his army of Phyrexian horrors fighting against the forces of the empire's capital city. This conflict ended with the city's destruction and Yawgmoth's retreat to Phyrexia, where he will remain until 2 brothers, Urza and Mishra, discovered the remains of a planar portal linking Phyrexia and Dominaria. And that's where our story continues. Many centuries after the fall of the Thran Empire, 2 brothers, Urza and Mishra, brilliant artificers and apprentices to an elderly woman named Tokazia. There was always a friendly rivalry between these two, as there usually is between brothers. I mean, I'm a perfect example of that. But everything became more serious and much more dangerous when one day, the 3 of them had discovered the caves of Kolios, the very cave system that once resided beneath the Thran Empire's capital city, and, more importantly, the very caves where the planar portal to Phyrexia lay dormant for centuries. This portal was held shut by 2 artifacts, the Mightstone and the Weakstone, 2 halves of a Power Stone that held the portal shut. Urza took the Mightstone while Mishra took the Weakstone, and, unknown to the brothers at that time, they had activated the portal between the 2 planes, allowing Yawgmoth to invade Dominaria once again. Ever since that point, the rivalry between these 2 became more dire, with each stubbornly refusing to give up the other half of the stone. This eventually led to a conflict between these 2, a conflict in which their teacher, Tokazia, was accidentally killed by them, and, afraid and furious, Mishra ran away, not to be seen for several years. Urza would leave to become the chief artificer of Yoida, a country on Dominaria, while Mishra would fall into the hands of the Phyrexians. The next time these 2 would meet will mark the beginning of a bloody war known as the Brothers' War. You see, while Urza had secured a position of power in Yoida, Mishra had done the same, but in a different country named Falagi. The old grudges between the 2 had never cooled down, and naturally they began fighting once again, engulfing both countries in a war that had lasted for several decades. This war finally came to an end when the 2 brothers confronted each other face to face, for the first time in years, and shocked and disgusted by the Phyrexian monster that his brother had become, Urza had activated the Golgathian Slicks, an ancient artifact of immense power. So powerful that, in fact, the blast of the Slicks didn't only obliterate both armies, turning Urza into a planeswalker, but it also caused such atmospheric damage that the plane itself actually ushered an ice age that would last 2,500 years. This ice age was exactly what you'd imagine it to be. The world was covered in an eternal, unmelting ice. Pretty much the same way our Earth was during our own little ice age. The inspiration for this one was pretty obvious, right? There were several big players during the Ice Age, mainly a powerful wizard named Joda and a planeswalker, Leshrac. But before we get into those 2 characters, we need to take a quick lesson on the Shard of the 12 Worlds. The easiest way to imagine the Shard is like an envelope which contained 12 planes, among which was Dominaria. It was created during the Slicks Blast when Urza asked the Slicks, prior to its activation, to protect Dominaria. The closest thing to the Shard in recent histories is the Guild Pact of Ravnica, or the Immortal Sun on Ixalan. It essentially prevents anyone from entering those 12 planes, or anyone from leaving them, acting as a cage of sorts, much like the old Guild Pact on Ravnica did. We don't know which planes were among these 12 other than Dominaria and another plane named Azoria. Maybe another plane for Azor? And that's important because, to my knowledge, the Ice Age couldn't and wouldn't end until the magic of the shard was broken. Imagine it like the weather being frozen in time. The important events that took place on Dominaria during the Ice Age were various conflicts between the necromancer Limdal and an extremely powerful mage, Joda. We also know that at one point prior to the Ice Age, the giant creature named Merritt Lodge was frozen. Merritt Lodge is a topic for a whole separate video, and one I actually have already covered. But because we need to stay on track, all you need to know for now is that she's a kraken-like being that can travel between planes, that was imprisoned in ice prior to the beginning of the Ice Age. So think of the Eldrazi Titans, not necessarily a planeswalker, but it could be because, that Leviathan Nicol killed was one, but it's more like maybe a 4th Eldrazi Titan. Something along those lines. Once Ice Age came and froze the waters and oceans of Dominaria, Merritt Lodge's prison became a glacier. Her ultimate fate, after Dominaria defrosted, remains unknown. Returning back to the topic of the shard, planeswalkers who were stuck in here were obviously frustrated that they couldn't leave. These walkers, along with the Elder Dragon, Chromian Rule, had agreed to meet on the surface of the Null Moon, and decide how to break the shard, which held them all captive. Their original idea was to work together to find a spell, one that could aid them in their effort to break the shard, but some of them, mainly Leshrac the Nightwalker and Tavish Svat, had different plans. The two had discovered the rogue plane of Chandalar, a plane known for its unique ability to drift across the multiverse. And their plan was to basically kill a planeswalker and use the energy that would be released by his or her death to planeswalk to Chandalar once it kinda drifted into the shard. You see, although the shard could keep the planeswalkers from entering and or leaving it, it couldn't do the same to other planes. A conflict broke out at this supposedly peaceful summit, and although no planeswalkers were killed, the Elder Dragon Chromium was slain, and the energy from the Elder Dragon's death was enough for Leshrac and Svat to leave. It ultimately fell upon Freyalise to cast a spell known as the World Spell to shatter the Shard of the 12 Worlds, allowing planeswalkers to roam free and ending the Ice Age, but also allowing Phyrexians to enter Dominaria once more. And that, you guys, is part 2 of our Dominaria history lesson. Now, I know, guys, Dominaria cards are leaking faster than my ability to pronounce some of these names, and I get it. But that doesn't mean we fully understand the story of Dominaria, either in its past or future. Anyway, be sure to stay tuned as we finish up this series and get into the official story of our return to Dominaria. Anyway, if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more, and of course, share it across the multiverse. As always, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I'm Simon, and I'll see you again next time here on the Aether Hub.